Hey, good morning. It's Betty. I'm out here with my 2008 GMC Sierra, and the problem I'm having is that it doesn't crank sometimes. It will just try to turn over and it doesn't. It gives me the impression that it's not getting the fuel it needs. So I tested the fuel pump with a pressure tester and that came out fine. And so I just can't figure out what it is. So I had the idea that possibly it could be the mass airflow sensor. I hate just throwing parts at it. I did clean the mass airflow sensor and it still is giving me the same problem. So either it's totally broken all the way or that's not the problem at all. Sometimes a code will come up in your car if it is the mass airflow sensor. You'll have a check engine light on. I do have a check engine light on. I'm not sure of the codes. I'll check them in a minute. Maybe it'll come up there, but I went ahead and purchased the mass airflow sensor. I'm going to go ahead and change it out and see if that solves the problem. So let me just go in the truck and show you what's going on with how it cranks or actually doesn't crank. So you see how it gives that little stutter before it cranks. Sometimes it takes a few turns of the key to get it to actually crank. This time it cranked okay, but it's still, you could still hear that little hesitation in it. Let me check the code, and I saw that there was a check engine light on, so let me check the code real quick and see what it says. So it looks like it was just given some catalyst and O2 sensor codes. We changed the catalytic converters in it, and so I don't know if just because they're aftermarket ones, they're still throwing the code or what. I mean, the O2 sensors are relatively new. I may change them later if this mass airflow sensor doesn't solve the problem, but I'm hoping it does. I mean, it's the stock, this is an '08, and the mass airflow sensor has been on there since the beginning, so it needs to be changed anyway. So let's go over there. I was hoping that there was going to be a mass airflow sensor code, but there's not. But let's go over there and change it anyway. There's two clamps holding it on, and so you could just use a regular flat screwdriver to loosen them. Right here, this piece is the mass airflow sensor, and you can see it hooks right here to the air filter, and then it goes up this tube and into the engine there. So simple, just push that, unplug that, and now there's two screws right here. Loosen these clamps. And now we're just going to pry this out of the two. Airflow that way. It's getting hot out here already, but I got my new one here. This is part 221137. That's if you have the same exact vehicle as I do, that would be the part number for that. But the parts store will be able to look up the exact part you'll need. So you see, looks exactly the same with the arrows on it. And so we will install it same way and just reverse from how we took the old one off. And save your old one because there's a core on it. They'll charge you if you don't return. They'll charge you and then you'll get your money back after you bring in the old one. And now we'll just put it back on the same way. So I had to get up in the truck so I can use my leverage to get this in, because see, it's got to fit between these two. So that's the only hard part, is not losing these clamps while you squeeze this in between these two. And you don't want to damage, so don't put pressure on the screen. And make sure it's in all the way, because if there's any air leaking out from around it, it's not gonna work the way it should. So make sure you get the clamps tight down really tight so there's no air leaks. There we go. And then just re-plug it in, and hopefully that will solve our problem. Okay, now we'll crank it and see if it cranks right up. Sometimes it's not going to work right away because it's going to take the ECU a minute to reprogram itself. I did clear the codes, so that might help a little bit too. But let's go ahead and crank it. It's a good thing to crank it and let it idle for about 20 minutes, and that gives the computer time to learn that there's a new fixed mass airflow sensor in there. And so let's crank it and see what happens. Yeah, see, it's still hard to crank, but I'm going to let it run for a little while, then I'll turn it off and crank it again, and we'll check and see if there's any, yeah, there's no lights on right now, so we'll let it run for a minute, see if any lights come on, and crank it again. So while we were idling the engine, we decided to just run up to AutoZone and return that core to get our core charge back. And so now we'll go ahead and crank it, see if there's any lights on, see if it cranks up. Keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully this was the problem. Let's see. Well, it's still not right, but hopefully after a few cranks it'll work any bugs out of it. It could still be what the problem was, hopefully. But I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.